Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Retro Alliance Gaming. So tonight is a very special night. We are here at Retro City Games in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada for the release party for Henshin Engine, which is going to be fucking awesome, everybody. Now, the really exciting part about this is that the creators are actually here right now, and we're going to be getting ready to do a full interview with these guys. So not only do I get a chance to buy the game and get it signed, but again, getting a chance to talk with all these people. So give me just one moment and we'll be back with an interview. Alrighty, hello and welcome back to another episode of Retro Alliance Gaming. Today we are down at Retro City Games in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada, and as I said earlier, we have a huge treat for you. We have the creative brainchild over here, the brainchild behind FX-UNIT Yuki, right here ready to do an interview with us today. He was nice enough to join us. How are you doing today,
good.
Sir?
How are you?
Doing very good. I was incredibly excited when I ran into you. I actually ran into him when I was in here about a month ago.
Yeah, you were in here randomly. We were both looking at the Saturn.
Saturn, yeah. And I noticed your shirt, and I saw the name of the game and stuff, so I started talking to you about the shirt and everything else, and then I had no idea. You were like, oh, by the way, yeah, I created this game, the idea, and I was super excited. I was like, oh my god, yeah. So I got so excited because I'm so passionate about the system, and the best part was talking to you is that you were, not only were you guys just really down to earth and incredibly nice, but then you guys were willing to come in and do an interview, and I'm just so excited about it, and I just want to thank you guys so much.
No problem.
This is like my ultimate dorkgasm. This is just how I am. I love doing all this stuff. So
I was just really excited to meet somebody else who was into TurboGrafx and PC Engine, because you know how hard it is to find people who are into this system. It's such a niche system. Not a lot of people really know about it. So I was excited too.
Yeah, most people I meet, sometimes I'll even mention TurboGrafx or PC Engine. They're like, PC what? And I'm just like, and then so when you find somebody else who actually has an interest, let alone going as far as you did to create a game.
And most of the time you have to go into this little history lesson about it. Okay, well, the TurboGrafx 16 in America was known as blah, blah, blah in Japan, and give them a whole timeline.
And so on and so forth. Yeah, the system needs to be more popular. When you say Dreamcast, everybody knows what the Dreamcast is. Most people do, because it's an amazing
immediately,
system. But they know it immediately. And I always felt like the TurboGrafx / PC Engine just kind of fell under par, and people really need to know more about it.
Get a whole lot of love, and it makes me sad. It's one of my favorite systems of all time.
It was bigger in Japan, right?
Oh yeah,
much bigger in Japan.
In Japan, it reigned supreme for a good number of years, even surpassing the Mega Drive.
Yeah, and that's amazing. That's a huge deal out there.
The Mega Drive and the Super Nintendo for a number of years, and then finally the Super Nintendo got the lion's share of the market, but that took them a good few years before that happened.
It did. That's kind of like how the Saturn was. The Saturn didn't do as well in America, but in Japan, the Sega Saturn was huge. They have so many more games than we will ever have. But yeah,
so many good games too. I love the Saturn.
It is an amazing,
PC
underrated system.
Engine, but if the PC Engine had a successor, I feel like the Saturn would have been.
I completely agree with you.
Very similar types of games on it.
Yeah,
a lot of shooters.
Magic Knight Rayer, Panzer Dragoon Saga. You have all the different shmups that are on there. Radiant Silvergun. Just so many amazing things that are on there. They kind of do seem like they would be related.
Right, they kind of complements a lot of the games that were on the PC Engine in a way.
Yeah, I'll say the PC Engine's like his older brother. That's what it seems like. The Saturn will be the kid.
That's how I like to think about it.
Right, exactly. So, anyways, going back to it, one thing I did want to mention is the game that he has created. FX-UNIT Yuki, or Henshin Engine, is out currently right now, and it was built initially, as I could imagine, for the PC Engine. Now, that being said, you guys kicked butt on Kickstarter, and there's going to be a Dreamcast port of it, I believe, correct? Yeah, so I'm just really curious real quick, with the Dreamcast port, do you know when anybody could expect to get it, or when it might be coming out?
So with the Dreamcast port, unfortunately, because we didn't have the main game finished, we couldn't really get any work done on the Dreamcast port. We're actually outsourcing the Dreamcast port, but they need our source code before they can do so. So they have that now.
Oh, okay.
And so now they've begun with the Dreamcast version, a group called Josh Prod Games. It's going to put it together.
Games, yes, absolutely.
Do you know them? They
they
did like Breakers on the Dreamcast
Flashback.
and Flashback.
Yep.
Yeah, so they're going to be porting it to the Dreamcast as well as the Mega Drive, which is the Sega Genesis.
Oh wow!
Here,
I didn't even know they were doing that. No, the Sega
Yeah.
Genesis too. Wow, that's
Sega
awesome.
Genesis. So we're really excited about that. We're probably going to be looking at maybe the end of September. Is what we're hoping. Because it really depends on how quickly they can get that code and convert it over to something that the Dreamcast will read. They might have a little trouble with the Mega Drive version, so I don't want to say that the Mega Drive version is going to come out in September as well, because as you know, with cartridge-based things, they have to like manufacture the PCBs and they have to get the shells, and it's a lot more of a process to do that than to just put it on a CD.
Takes a while, right?
Right.
Yeah,
So
it's a lot of work.
They have to rework the graphics and everything. So hopefully we'll see that close to September, but probably not going to be around the same time.
And that just means my pocketbook's going to empty even more, because now I have 3 versions of the game I have to buy. So can we do it like I buy 2 versions, get the third one?
Maybe.
The Dreamcast, Mega Drive.
Yep, we'll have to talk about that.
I'll have to schmooze a little bit or something like that and see what I can do with it. With the Dreamcast version, one question I want to ask you is, obviously the Dreamcast is a little more powerful, has a little bit more capability than obviously the PC engine. Is there going to be any enhancements that are planned for it?
So there are going to be no real like graphical enhancements, because that would require reworking the entire game.
Yeah, of course.
But on a hardware standpoint, it will run better than it will on than it does on the PC engine. Mainly things like flicker and slow down and stuff that plagues these 8-bit and 16-bit systems.
Yeah.
You know, and as you know, the PC engine is at its core an 8-bit system with a 16-bit GPU.
It is.
So it's for what it is, it does a lot.
Oh no, absolutely.
Right,
yeah.
but the Dreamcast version will have much less slowdown, things like that. There will probably be no slowdown, actually, no flicker.
Oh, I would imagine.
And sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
A lot of the artwork will be in a higher resolution than on the PC engine.
Beautiful, that makes sense. It's kind of like when you get a Mega Drive version, and then you would get like the Sega CD enhancements. That's what I always think of it. You know, like they do some things, or they're a little bit smoother, or a little bit more audio, or something. That
because you have more space to do that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So cool. Next question that I have for you is this the first game that you've ever had released commercially, that you yourself, is this the first game that you worked on that you've actually put out to the world for everybody to see?
So this is the first game that I was at the helm of a project. I was the head of the project, but the programmer for this game, he actually released a game prior. The programmer for this game is the old Rover. You see his name on the spine card. He made a game called Mysterious Song for the TurboGrafx CD.
I actually haven't played that yet. So
yeah, and make sure to check it out. I don't know if he's still selling it, but it's an RPG for the TurboGrafx CD, and he's the programmer for it. So this is his second project to come to fruition. But he started lots of projects, just none of them really got finished. So this is the second project. And actually the next game that we're working on is something that was his brainchild, and I'm the artist for that project.
Oh, awesome.
And I'm the person who's doing like the marketing for it.
Oh, that's it's great synergy how you guys work in the community with different, indie developers and going back and forth. So, okay, that sounds awesome. That's really good. Another thing I wanted to ask you is, obviously anybody can see that you are a huge TurboGrafx fan. And it's one of my personal favorite systems. And what I'm wondering is, what made you want to get into creating a game? Like, what got you started in your craft? Like, when did you go from being just this huge PC Engine fan, that childlike mentality, and saying, you know what, I want to sit down and I want to create a game and put it on here. So basically, what made you want to do that? What's your motivation, even though that part's probably obvious?
Well, I've always wanted to make a video game. Ever since I could pick up a pencil to draw.
Like RPG Maker in the beginning?
Well, no, actually, so I started off, my very first system was an Atari 2600.
Wow.
I'm 38 years old, so.
I love the Atari. I have 500 games for the Atari. My brother actually got them for me. We bought out at EB Games.
Oh, wow, nice.
50 cents a cartridge in 1999.
2600?
2600. So we literally walked out, not to go off subject, but with a box of 500 Atari games, because they were like, how much do you want for them? They're like, you can take them all if you do them for 50 cents a piece. And I've had them since I was a kid, and I played those games to death. I love
that's
classics.
Awesome.
But anyways, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. So yeah, that was my first system, was a Atari 2600. So ever since then, I've always been like hooked into video games, you know, and I always liked to draw. And when I used to draw in my mom's Bible. I would draw like characters from video games, like I would draw like Pac-Man type things, and then I got obsessed with ninjas.
Oh, wow.
And when I was a kid, I played Kid Nicky Radical Ninja.
Oh, Kid
and after
Nicky,
that I started drawing like mock stages of like my own game with like ninjas,
lining it out,
right?
Like, kind of like
so it was like Kid Nicky and then Ninja Kid, both like 1987, early, you know, mid 80s.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I've always wanted to make video games. The problem is that I never had the know-how to make video games. I was always an artist. I never had, and even till this day, I have absolutely no programming skills whatsoever. But I met someone who was able to program it, and then that's why this game now.
So basically, you met the right people, you had the right ideas, and you were able to give all your creativity, and then let somebody who knew the coding be able to build this game around for you, which I'm always really impressed by. Like, I you know, my skills are different. You know, I do acting, I can play piano, I have my own thing, but when it comes to art, I do not draw well at all. Now, my fiance is amazing, and so whenever I see like any of these sketches or any kind of pixel art, which is my favorite, I'm always impressed by it. But for you to actually turn that into this whole idea in this game is really quite an amazing feat. And yeah, dude, congratulations on it.
Thank you.
I've already played some of the game, and I am just I'm loving it. Although the bees, you and me need to talk about the bees.
Everybody has an issue with the bees.
Well, actually,
you get used to them after like a couple times, but it's more like games like Ninja Gaiden had the eagles. I don't know if you remember the eagles. We wanted to do that same sort of thing, you know, where there's like people are like, those stupid eagles. So
it
like
worked.
Yeah, so with Ninja people are like, those damn bees. You know, so that's like the joke.
I was sitting in the corner and I was playing the game, and actually I'll give you a little hard time about it, but when I was playing it, I got the direction of the bees. So when I jump, I always know they're like, no, screw you, right? So it was good. I waited for them to pop over, and then I jump around them and slash them. So I actually got it.
Yeah.
You know, getting and messing around. But I did notice that when I was playing it, I got that old school rage where I was going through it and I was trying not to curse, and I didn't realize it. Kids are on me. I'm like, Urgh.
And that's sweating. What we wanted is like that whole It's very hard. The game is hard in an old school sense, but not unfair.
Yeah, not at all. Not
unfair.
That is what I was going to actually say to you. Okay, there's a huge difference when you have a game that is just the proper amount of difficulty, or you can go to hard, but you know you can complete it because it's fair. That's what I love, and that's what I gathered from this game. It's not like, let's make an example of an NES game, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Right.
Where,
oh my God.
Okay, where nothing's fair.
Nothing's fair. The game is practically unplayable.
It is unplayable, yeah. So you see when you see a game like that doesn't come from good programming. That's it. I'm not gonna. I mean, no insult to anybody who makes the game, but that's just a frustration where you never know if you're gonna make it. But this game, when I'm playing it, it gave me that old school challenge, and I'm going to go home, play this game, go through hard mode, everything. I'm looking really forward to it, man. It's
awesome.
Really excited. So that actually almost led into my next question, because you already pretty much answered it. Like, what was your passion, you know, your craft, your motivation behind it? And that's another thing I wanted to mention. When you were making this game, is there any? I know that I haven't played through the whole game, but there's a mix of a lot of things. So I'm noticing that you went with obviously platformer style and shmup, like shoot 'em ups. So you have the mix between the two. Is there any particular reason you picked those two? Is it because those were more common for the system, or platformer something you love? I'm just curious, like, genre-wise.
The platformer aspect, as you know, with FX-UNIT Yuki, Yuki is about a girl who is transported into the game world, and she, as a tester, jumps into many different types of worlds.
Yes.
So platformer made it easy to replicate different worlds that were represented in video games of the time, of the 80s and the 90s.
Right, yeah.
And then shooters, the PC Engine is a system that is known for its shooters, so we wanted to throw in a couple shooter stages. The first shooter stage being a homage to Cotton 100%.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and we call it Satin 50%.
Satin 50%,
clear parody. And then we have like the Castlevania stage, you know, Castlevania series, we call it Castle Vampire Z, as a parody to Dracula X Rondo of Blood, which was the popular game on the PC Engine.
One of my favorites also, Rondo of Blood.
Excellent game.
Excellent.
So
like,
good.
Everyone talks about Super Castlevania on the Super Nintendo. And,
right.
And the thing is, I don't think, this is from what I've gathered, it seems like that's just a lowered down version of what Rondo of Blood actually is. Rondo of Blood, I mean, the cutscenes, everything you have, that is a
cutscenes, the
beautiful
music,
game.
the gameplay.
Oh my god.
The ability to use multiple characters. Because that's when they introduced Maria, that you later see in Symphony of the Night. And the game itself is just, it's excellent. It's a really great game.
Actually my personal favorite Castlevania. After that one is Symphony of the Night, which I love.
Those are my two faves.
Yeah.
Dracula X Rondo, and right after that, Symphony of the Night.
I enjoy Bloodlines too.
The Bloodlines is good.
It's
Bloodlines is very good. Yeah,
but
very
nothing could really beat
that
one
would
in
probably
particular.
be my third favorite.
Yeah, I think we're in the same line here.
That would probably be my third after Symphony of the Night.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then everything else.
Yeah, and then everything else going from there. So okay, moving on from that point. Let's see. I think you kind of answered this question already, because I was going to ask you regarding the game gathers and takes inspiration from other games, and other game worlds, but you kind of already went over that, like you were doing it almost like a fun thing to Cotton, obviously, and to Castlevania.
Yep.
Are those the two main ones? Is there any other things in
there?
there's
lots, actually. So the second stage with the bees, that's something that we call Oni Island, which is supposed to pay tribute to the Adventure Island games, Wonder Boy.
Adventure Island and Wonder Boy,
yeah,
yes.
so those types of games. With, let's see, what other? So we have Adventure Island, we have Castlevania, we have Cotton, we have a stage that's supposed to parody Lords of Thunder.
Oh, nice.
Which we call the Gods of Lightning. And let's see, what else do we have? We do a parody of something called Shockman, which is another TurboGrafx thing. We call it Zapman in our world.
Nice.
And I'm trying to think what other stages. Yeah, I think those are all the inspirations. Then the other stages are original stages. Like Stage 00 is an original stage that follows the webcomic. Yep. Because this is originally based on a webcomic. Yep. And then the final stages were also original stages.
Awesome. Yeah, because you guys do have a comic that people can read online before playing the game, right? Kind of like a setup to a story.
Yes. So the webcomic leads up to the point before this game begins. Perfect. So they introduce Jenny. The game condenses the story really down, but the comic book is basically the intro of the game that you see in a much longer version of that intro, where you see Yuki go to her school and interact with people and the whole game testing, and how she got to be into the game testing thing, and how she actually ends up being the FX unit.
Yeah, I'm going to make sure to post down below to let people know where they can go to read the comic before playing the game, so they kind of have the whole play.
They can just go to FX-UNIT-Yuki.com.
Absolutely. And for another one thing I want to ask you, what inspired the character of Yuki herself? Like, for you, is there any background to it, or? So,
I've always wanted to create something with a female protagonist, and I've always wanted to have a female protagonist in games, because in Japan that's a big thing. There's lots of female protagonists in games. In America, especially during this era, of the 80s and 90s, you didn't see a whole lot of protagonists that were female.
No, not
that took the lead role. So I wanted, since this was paying tribute to games in the 80s and the 90s, I wanted to make a game that took place in the 80s and the 90s with a prominent female protagonist.
That's beautiful. And the funny thing is that I actually I'm one of the people who prefer female protagonists. Literally when
So do I.
Yeah, when I'm playing
I'm crazy about games like Valis.
Oh God, yes.
Then I don't know. It was always more fun for whatever reason.
Yeah, not only is it more fun, but even with RPGs, when I create an RPG, people are like, "Why are you creating a dude?" I love creating female characters. I love the different outfits you can use, the way you dress. Something about it's always just been so much better. And I love the fact that you pointed out the fact of having more lead females in games in the 80s, because you married it together because there wasn't enough of them. Right. But you got a game that is obviously inspired by the 80s and put them together. And that's one thing that attracted me to the game, is the lead female protagonist. And she's freaking adorable, dude.
Oh, thank you.
I got my girl making fan art for her because she loved her, and
She did. She made a Jenny art.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can put that in an overlay so people can see it. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Oh, she'll have. But yeah, I think
there's enough.
Inspired by
I'm
that.
really happy that she did that, because there's not enough Jenny fan art. Everyone draws Yuki, but only two. We've only had 2 different Jenny arts. So I want. Yeah, exactly. So that's awesome.
Yeah, well, yeah, she's also the one, whenever she's drawing, like, anything to do with Sailor Moon, she always goes to Sailor Saturn, which is a fairly more unknown one.
Right.
That she loves the most. So she opened it, she immediately, like, gets attracted.
She's my favorite, too, by the way. Saturn, I love her.
See, oh, there we go. See, it's awesome. And, yeah, it's just, it's a great thing. I love the character. I really love your answer to that. That is a great thing. More female protagonists need to be in games. They are amazing and strong when we put in video games. It's a very powerful thing. What? Absolutely. I like this guy more and more. It's making me even more excited to finish playing this game that I bought today. I'm just like, oh my god, I can't wait. Going into another side, I'm not going to try to go too deep into it or anything, but I was curious, when you started this game, when you went to make it, obviously you needed to figure out funding and what you can do, and you decided to go with Kickstarter. Now, what I want to ask you is, me personally, I think Kickstarter is a fantastic thing. I have backed many games on there, Elysian Shadows, so many different things, and I've been so happy with everything that I got. Shenmue 3, day one.
Bloodstained?
What?
Did you guys do Bloodstained?
We didn't get a chance to get into Bloodstained.
I didn't either. I missed it. I'm like, oh no!
She's going to cosplay her, though.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
Yeah.
Awesome. That's cool.
Yeah, because we do Comic-Cons and stuff. I actually got into Alucard outfits and everything.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Which she handmade.
That's awesome.
I got a really, really talented girl when it comes to all this. But
very cool.
What I wanted to ask you is, when you were starting Kickstarter, were you nervous about it, number one?
Oh, yes.
Oh, well, I'll let you answer that one first. Yeah, you were pretty nervous?
Oh, yeah. I was super nervous because, so, like, a Kickstarter for this type of thing, for the PC Engine's never been done. No one's ever done a crowdfund for anything regarding TurboGrafx 16 or PC Engine.
You know, you're right. They haven't.
No.
I've seen Dreamcast everywhere.
Yep, but this is the first time that anyone's ever done a crowdfund project for this system. So I was really afraid because the community has been known to. There are other homebrews that have come out, and they have come out, out of the pockets of the people who are making this stuff. But I wanted Yuki to be much more than just a regular homebrew. I just, not that I have any issues. I commend those people who are able to put out homebrews out of their own pockets. I just wanted a bigger production, and I wanted to release something that you could say, I could see this game being released by a publisher back in the day. I want people to be like, oh yeah, I totally would have bought this for the TurboGrafx CD back in the day. That's the feel that I wanted to get, and in order to do that, I needed the funding to do it.
You did,
I needed to get, a composer, we needed to pay the programmer, we needed to pay the tile artist, and then we had the manufacturing that went into play, promotion, we registered trademarks, and there was just
there's a lot, right?
What's funny is that even after all the Kickstarter money, it was not enough. A lot of it ended up still coming out of my pocket. So
wow.
Yeah, and I was really nervous because no one had ever done that. So we did get some backlash from people within the community asking why are we going this route? It requires something like this requires money to get started. And so then we added the Dreamcast tier to it. Oh my god, sorry about that, guys. We've got little kids, children.
We're at a party, so it's gonna happen.
And so the Dreamcast, that was a whole other can of worms as far as drama.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is that 85% of all the people who backed it were people who backed it for the PC Engine.
Right.
And we sold maybe 60 pre-orders of the Dreamcast and maybe even less for the Mega Drive.
Yeah.
But the Dreamcast, a certain Dreamcast community that I will not say, had an issue with that and slammed us. And they
ridiculous.
On this whatever junkyard website, they completely slammed us for it, saying that we were a potential scam because of how we were running stuff. And obviously, if they see how all this stuff now, but this was a year and a half ago. And they slammed us hard.
And that's the thing. The fact that you wanted to make this game, you went to Kickstarter. The thing was, that's probably something you might have been, maybe not putting words in your mouth, nervous about, is that you're putting yourself out there. And when you put yourself out there, you're going to get a mix between everyone. Now, there is a huge part of the retro gaming community, or people who grew up with this stuff, like me, or other people who just love the fact that you're doing this. You're passionate. They're just like, oh my God, thank you. And they tend to have a positive outlook. But there's also a lot of people, who are going to go ahead and, like you said, you were having problems with a certain, Dreamcast group and stuff like that. And I've always thought that it was personally, I'm telling you, I think it is absolutely ridiculous. You're trying to make a beautiful game, you succeeded, but people always, they do that with a lot of things. They're like, oh, this is a scammer, this is a scammer. It's like, well, clearly it is not. It's somebody who's passionate and loves it. So sometimes it's like you got to push those things aside, right?
Right, and it's hard because I didn't realize that we were going to garner any detractors because I'd never done this sort of thing, like a crowdfund before. My first crowdfund, and it was really successful.
Yeah.
But I didn't even consider that we would have detractors. I just thought, everyone's gonna be, oh, this guy's making a new game, and I thought everyone was gonna be happy, and and for the most part, everybody was. It was just a very, very, very small segment of the internet.
And I'm sorry you had to deal with that. And you know what?
But everyone else is fine.
We're take that little small part is right here, right? We throw it over there, and we have the game and everything right here, and it's beautiful, and your fans and everybody are in love with it, so it's okay. But yeah, these are the struggles. I want to congratulate you also, not on all of that, because people don't realize when you're doing this kind of thing, it's not like, oh, I'm just gonna make a game, put it out. There's so much things that you have to deal with and making and time and travel that you have to do, and this is a lot. And this is one thing that I want to actually point out to all of you guys out there on the channel, that if you enjoy these kind of retro games, and realize that sometimes these teams, there's not 20 people, there's not 30, there's not 200. A lot of times there is 2, 4, 5 people, blood, sweat, and tears it takes to make something like this for all of us to love. So for any of you guys out there, who love these kind of games, go out there and support it. Support the games, support the guys who are making it, and whatever you do, anybody else out there, try not to, be too negative or hard on these guys, because they're working really hard to put their vision out and to give something to all of us. And I am beyond thankful that you did that, because this gives me something to go home and put in my TurboGrafx and relive a part of my childhood from the 80s, and it literally means the world to me.
See, and that's what we want. That's the majority of the people who back that have the same sentiment. They're happy that we've made something that they can actually take home and play.
Yeah.
And it just brings back this whole world of nostalgia for them, because they get to play a brand new game for their favorite 30-year-old console. And that's, I love that feeling that people can take that, and for a system that I grew up with, my absolute favorite system.
Yes.
That they can take something new and play. So I'm happy. We have maybe a 5% of the whole if not less, was detractors. Everybody else was super happy.
That's overall positive, so that's a really nice thing. Yep. So what we're going to go ahead and do, we're going to get ready to wrap up because of time. I have one last question I want to ask you on this. Before I do ask you, actually, let's go ahead and just ask you the last question, then I'll get to the next part. What is, I think I already know this, but your favorite TurboGrafx game of all time? I think we mentioned
East Book 1 and 2.
If there was a follow-up, is there any other one? One more we can throw in there. One more.
Something called Galaxy Police Sapphire.
Galaxy? I haven't played that, but I'll have to check it out.
It's really good.
Is it an import only, or?
Yeah, it's an import shooter. It's really expensive, and I was one of those people who spent way too much money on that game, but I'm a huge fan of the artist.
Yeah.
His name is Mika Akitaka. He draws stuff for something called Galaxy Fraulein Yuna.
Oh, beautiful.
And I love this guy, and it's an excellent shmup, great music, done by Red Company in Hudson, so they did Gate of Thunder and Lords of Thunder and all those games.
Lords of Thunder, amazing.
I think if I had another follow-up to that, my third one would probably be Dracula X Rondo Blood.
Rondo Blood. Yeah, I agree with you with the first and the third. I haven't played the second, but judging by the fact that you and me have very similar tastes, I'm going to go and immediately check out the game. Hopefully it doesn't cost $50,000. Some retro games do. It might be a little high.
$500-$600 now, I think.
You could literally put me in a room, and I'll be like, what game do you want to play? I want this game. It's $2,000, and I'll be like, what one do you want the least? This one. Oh, it's 99 cents. I always pick the highest one, and I don't mean to. It's just some of these games, they're just wow. But anyways, alrighty, sir. These were great questions. Again, I want to thank you so much for being with us today, being on our absolutely being on our little show. I appreciate everything, just taking the time to work here, do the interview, and again, thank you so much for taking all your time and hard work and putting it into this beautiful game that I'm going to run home, play, enjoy, do videos, post up. I'm so very grateful, sir. It was amazing to meet you.
It was a pleasure.
I'm happy you live locally in town, so I know for later on for any other games we can back up. And guys, there you have it. We got the creator right here of this beautiful, wonderful game, and make sure you guys go and check it out. Let them know where they can get it again real quick.
So you can go to FX-UNIT Yuki.com to buy the game and read the webcomic.
Absolutely, and I will put links down below for all of you guys. So thank you very much again.
Oh,
and
do you mind if they can actually go to youtube.com/SARUMARU if you want to see updates on the game. I post them on my YouTube channel.
Absolutely, and I will make sure to post that down below too, so you guys will have a link. So other than that, thank you all of you guys for watching today, and as always, until next time. You good? That was your arm was like, oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
What? Thank you. I'm so sorry.